New villains are on the rise, and the big three make their first epic appearance. What's up, guys? It's time for another review of My Hero Academia. This episode has got me so hyped right here. I actually thought that this was going to be the final episode of the season. Thank God it looks like there's going to be one more, and it looks like it's actually going to end up being very exciting because they are introducing a ton of new characters right here. Basically, a new arc is starting at the very end of a season, and I don't know if that disappoints me or excites me even more for the inevitable Season 4 of My Hero Academia. They haven't made any official announcement yet as far as I know. I have a feeling it's probably going to be coming at the very end of the next episode. But this episode right here, oh my god, guys, let's just jump into it. It's actually divided into two parts. The first half of the episode is wholly devoted to the villains, who little by little are starting to rise from the shadows. They've been biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment, and the League of Villains is doing everything in their power to recruit anyone into their organization. And the first half of the episode actually follows what looks like a new character. It's this one creepy dude who is a chain smoker who has a massive gnarly scar going down the middle of his forehead. He also seems to have something of a split personality. There's something within him that's constantly trying to break out. It's only until later in the sequence that we actually get to learn that this is the civilian form of Twice of the League of Villains. Yes, the goofy, ridiculous Deadpool villain who can seem to make clones of people. Now, the reason that this entire scene is so interesting is we get to see that he seems to have this, like, identity disorder, where when he's not wearing his costume, he's completely unsure of himself and fighting with this other force inside of him, and constantly wondering, is he who he really thinks he is? And the main reason for this is that we actually get to officially learn his backstory, which might be one of the craziest things that I've ever heard from the show. So we already know that he has the ability to create clones, and apparently in the past he used these clones to help him with things in everyday life, whether it be just doing chores or helping him with anything that he needed, so the real him could actually just sort of relax and put his feet up. The problem is, all of these different clones actually had their very own sentience, their own ability to think for themselves, and they actually ended up fighting with one another to the point where all of them started to kill one another, and there was only one left. And this one is unsure if he's actually the original or one of the clones. That alone is one of the most crazy things that I've actually heard from the series and makes Twice an immediately interesting character. Is he the original one? Is he the clone? What actually is the deal with this dude? And to make things even crazier, when he actually decides to put on his mask, it actually sort of composes him a little bit more and he goes back to the more traditional Twice that we've actually seen from the series. But what I especially love about the scene is not only is it a great introduction to him and his backstory, but they also introduce a couple of other brand new villains. They show this one group initially, which is known as Team Reservoir Dogs, which is basically just a bunch of goofy assholes who are robbing things. Eventually, however, they're assaulted by a completely different group, which is this group of villains which all wear these, like, Plague Doctor beak masks, and they're led by this one guy who goes by the name of Overhaul. And I don't know what it is about these guys, but they look like they're going to be pretty awesome and very important and might be the next big characters to become a part of the League of Villains. They all just have this really great look to them, and there's a reason that they focused on them, and man, do they just look awesome! The second half of the episode finally goes back to UA school when the students return to their classes, except for Katsuki Bakugo and Deku, of course, and that's because they're under house arrest. This is a pretty important part for the episodes as the actual students themselves learn that eventually they're actually going to be able to have internships again, much to the anger of Ochako, realizing that everything in the sports festival was actually a waste, even though it actually was still important to them actually getting to learn to work with other heroes and working under internships, which means they're going to go out in the world, solve crimes, fight villains, and do the whole superhero thing. It's a pretty big deal for the characters. When Deku and Katsuki learn about this, it only fires them up a little bit more because they have to get ahead of the game and catch up with their fellow students. The entire scene of going back to UA was also really fun too because we finally get to see the return of the B-class students, and they're all still crazy and fun. I like that they focus on this one character by the name of Pony, who seems to be half human, half pony, and apparently she's like a foreign exchange student. I'm guessing either from Britain or from the United States of America, And what's really funny is that because she's not very good at Japanese, they always make her say really threatening things to the other class, and she doesn't really realize what she's saying. They're really taking the time to introduce a number of new characters, and the ones that I think are going to leave the biggest impact are these characters who are known as the Big Three. These guys are like the head honchos of UA. They're the most renowned students at the school, and one of them is actually teased early on in the episode when Deku is just sort of like walking through the campus. Suddenly, this one character's face just pops out through a wall and through the ground, and he seems to have the ability to phase through things, or maybe he's kind of like Obito from Naruto, where things can actually pass through his body. But he's going to be one of the members of the Big Three, and they officially show him off with the other two characters at the very end of the episode, a female student and another dude who looks all dark and edgy. All I know is these characters look like they're going to be a lot of fun, in particular the blonde guy, who according to the preview goes by the name of Mirio Togata. What I especially love about this Tintin-looking motherfucker has got to be his design. He kind of looks like an old cartoon character from like the 1940s. That and just, he kind of looks like a mini All Might, but he looks like he's going to be a very fun character, and there has to be a reason why this guy is a part of a group which is known as the Big Three. He's probably going to be very capable with his quirk and in combat and as being a hero, and it looks like we're not going to have to wait long to see that. It looks like that's all going down in the next episode, and I am pumped! So what's the rundown on this episode of My Hero Academia? So excited for the next episode. Cannot get over how excited I am for the next episode. I cannot wait to see what the Big Three is going to be all about, because they've never mentioned them until this moment right here. I honestly thought that Class 1A was like the cream of the veritable crop of the entire series. These were your A-level players. No, we got people who have actually been at the school for a number of years and are even more capable of what they're actually going to do, and my god, can I not wait to actually see them in action. Mirio Togata looks like he's going to be a very, very fun character. A lot of that is owed to his design, but the preview for the next episode just looked great. But what I loved about this episode was just the juxtaposition between the first and second halves. The second half was lively and fun and really made you laugh seeing all of these characters hanging out together again. It reminds you why you love them. Then this first half of the episode actually makes you start to fear for them a little bit, because the villain aspect of this show just seems to get darker with every single arc in the series. Twice's backstory might be one of my favorite aspects of the entire season. It was such a great twist knowing that that was actually him. When he put on that mask, it was just such a shocking moment, and the fact that he might actually be one of the clones that killed his original body is very, very disturbing. It also shows how crazy his actual power is. In a way, he could potentially live forever in a sense, but it's weird that they don't seem to sort of share like their very own hive mind. It really has sort of affected his brain. He can't, you know, believe if he's the real him or not. That alone immediately makes him really awesome, but the other introduction of those other villains with the bird masks, especially that Overhaul character, these guys look like they're going to be a lot of fun, and I wonder if we're going to get to see more of them in the next episode, or if they're saving them for something in the next season. All I know is my ass is going to be in that seat watching those episodes. I cannot wait for it. This season has been an absolute blast so far, and this episode right here is just as good as the last, with the introduction of all of these amazing new characters, the return of some classics, which I think are really awesome. It's just getting back to form in the best way possible while also building up hype for the next big part of the series. This is how you do a penultimate episode, and I can't wait to see what the final episode of the season is all going to be about. I love this episode. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. You guys need to check it out. If any of you did watch the episode, please tell me what you guys thought about it in the comment section below, whether it be Twice's backstory, the bird beak villains, or what you hope to see from Mirio Togata. Let's get a discussion going, guys. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down, baby.